Hello and welcome back to Module 7B. In this video, we're going to be going over the Ledger X interface for trading options. I think what you'll find is that this is going to be a much simpler interface and very purpose-built for one thing, which is to allow US customers to trade options on Bitcoin only. Let's go ahead and log into our interface with username and password, and that's going to bring up our two-factor authentication. So we're going to put that code in and get going with this. And there's the interface. So a couple of things that you'll find out, first of all, is that this interface is just for trading BTC options. Before we get going, we have to fund our account. So I'm going to go to balances and history, and this is where we can deposit funds. And there's two ways to do this. We can enter the US dollar. The problem with this is that we're going to have to wire funds in, and this might be pretty inconvenient. It certainly was for me when I did this. This is actually the simplest way to fund your account, is just to send BTC over there. If you think about it though, the biggest use for an account like Ledger X is to be able to sell cash secured put options where we can turn dollars into Bitcoin by selling well below where the current price is. So turning dollars into Bitcoin is kind of the biggest purpose of having an account like Ledger X. And if you fund your account with Bitcoin, I haven't done it this way, but it seems like it would be kind of a backwards way to turn Bitcoin into more Bitcoin. Probably the Deribit interface would be better than that because you're trading in one currency with the Deribit interface, which is just crypto. So I like the idea of turning US dollars into Bitcoin with this interface. However, it's just kind of a pain to wire funds in. All right, so if you get past that point and you get your account funded, we're going to go back here to the dashboard, and this is where the action is. And really what we're going to find is that there's going to be different expiration dates. So for example, these options will all expire on the 19th of February in the year 2021. These options down here will expire on the 26th of February, 2021, and so on. And so we can go with short-term dated options, or we can start to trade back options, which are further out and further out. Here's March, here's April, here's June, and then we start to get into some really long dated options. And this is where things get to be really interesting. Would you commit to buying Bitcoin at $7,500 per coin? If so, you'll be paid a little over $400 for that, but be on the hook for buying a Bitcoin at $7,500. Or you could take the other extreme and go out here to the $200,000 strike, and you can pay somewhere around $3,000 to have the right to be able to buy Bitcoin at $200,000. That's assuming that it would be well beyond that you would exercise that option. So our main use in this program is going to be when Bitcoin is in a primary bull market, which it is as I'm recording this in early 2021. We would be looking for strike prices that are well below the current price and at levels that we would want to be a committed buyer at. And a committed buyer is very important, that you are a committed buyer and not just a sort of tentative buyer. So again, if we were to sell a put option, which is below the current price, if by expiration, let's represent expiration here, as long as the price ends up above that price level, that strike price that we sell, the option will just expire, whether it goes up, sideways, even down quite a bit, depending on how far out of the money that we sold that option. And it's only if the price comes all the way down to that strike price or below by expiration. Now, it's not going to get settled early. They're not going to assign you early before expiration date, which is important for Ledger X. Now, this is physical settlement, which means that if the price is below your strike price by expiration date, you will be assigned. So let's talk about the assignment process for a minute. Let's look at the 26th of March, 2021 options. The current price of Bitcoin is about 48,500 in that area. And let's just say that we were interested in buying Bitcoin at 40,000. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to click on the bid price of this option. We're going to click on the bid price of this. And what that should bring up is an order entry. Couple of things that you can do here. First of all is position size. And if we enter 100 contracts, what that means is that we want to be on the hook for one full Bitcoin. So each contract is 1/100th of a Bitcoin obligation, 1/100th. So these are mini contracts, if you will. If we're selling the $40,000 put, and if we sell 1/100th, so instead of 40,000, let's go through the numbers here. Instead of 40,000 that we'll have to have the cash for, we're going to move the decimal over 2 places. So instead of 40,000, we're going to be on the hook for $400. And what we'll bring in is instead of, and we'll just use the bid price here of 2010. So instead of $2,000, we're going to move that decimal over 2 places and we'll bring in $20 and we're going to be leveraging 400 for that. Make sure that you go over the math to make sure that that makes sense. Now that to me looks like a 5% return. So again, that is for one contract. One contract, you'll be on the hook for $400. So that's the cash that you'll have to have in this account to be able to set up the trade. And you'll bring in a credit of roughly $20 to do so. That goes right into your account right off the bat as soon as you execute the trade. Now, what price should we be submitting the order at? So you'll see that the bid-ask spread is quite wide on these. It's over $3,200, or about $3,200 in this case. What I would start at is the midpoint. Start at the midpoint of this. Add these two together and then divide by 2, and then that's your midpoint of the price. And what you'll find is that if you enter something in, sometimes you'll pull down the asking price. But a lot of that depends on your size of your order. So start out there, and depending on how patient that you are, you can start to work it slowly down towards that. So what you're going to do is cancel and then resubmit that order and keep moving it down a few percent at a time until, but I would never get to the point where you're entering it right at the bid price. We should be able to do that. And if there's enough open interest out there in volume, unless you're going way out in time, especially if you're just front month or back month or so, there should be plenty of activity for those to be able to get a better fill. So in this case, I'd work probably somewhere around 2,500 for this. So instead of pulling in a $20 credit, I might be able to pull in a $25 credit, which makes a big difference over time if you keep doing that. So folks, that's really it. This is a very simple interface using LedgerX. It does one thing and one thing only. It's for US customers to be able to sell and buy options on Bitcoin versus the US dollar. You can fund it through BTC, or you can fund it through US dollars through a wire transfer. The options are physically settled, which means if you do get assigned, you will be the proud owner of some new Bitcoin and not just getting your profits in US dollars. So this is a conversion engine from US dollars to Bitcoin through the strategy that we talk about in this program of selling cash secured puts. That's it for this video. Thanks for listening. We'll see you in the next one.